This episode of Dispatches from Planet Albany is brought to you with support by New York State United Teachers, which represents more than 600,000 educators and school-related professionals in New York. Dispatches is also supported by the public affairs firm O'Donnell & Associates. For more information, check out o'donnellsolutions.com.
My internet is kind of sketchy.
I'm going to shut
say it again?
your video off then.
What?
No?
No.
Okay.
People need to see me.
So why don't you try saying it again then?
I've also declared war on potholes. So here's the first shot across the bow.
Well, as you know, with Planet Albany, there's always something that makes the planet turn.
And it's this amazing view of D.C., and Eddie Vedder comes out. And he goes, "You have a cigarette?" And I've never smoked in my life, but if I had, I wish that was the moment.
And this strategy takes us from potholes to knotholes.
I would like to say it was a pleasure, Mr. Kim. But I'm on the road.
I'm David Lombardo, and this is Dispatches from Planet Albany, a WCNY podcast about power and politics in New York. And on today's show, we're exploring some of the interpersonal relationships between enemies, frenemies, and friends in New York politics. And to help us make sense of how those dynamics play out in public and behind the scenes, we're joined by Tusk Strategies partner Shontell Plummer. Thanks so much for making the time, Shontell.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So this is not me looking for a further discussion about the LCA show promo video that I wrote, starred in, and directed, but you definitely have some thoughts based on our preamble to this taping. Hit me.
No, it wasn't a preamble. I just said,
yeah.
We talked about your beard because you look kind of rough. I won't go into what was said. Mm-hmm. And then you, with glee, clicked to record. Shit was cringe. It was cringe. It's cringe.
In terms of the message or the execution of the video itself?
Execution.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't want to see you. It was shorts, right?
Yes.
It's like having a pool party with like senators and staff. Like nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see that. I don't think other people want to see it. Like nobody wanted to see that. I didn't want to see that. I didn't realize how pale and pasty you were.
It's not beach season yet for me. I haven't been traveling to warmer climates like other people.
And you were very, like, in your dancing, like, very dramatic. It was like, I was like, is he trying to do, like, Tom Cruise? Like, what were you going for? Like, Tom Cruise in that movie?
Risky Business?
Where he, like, Risky Business. I think you were trying to go for that, but, like, I'm respectfully Tom Cruise, David Lombardo. I mean, okay. But, like, it was just like, what are we doing here? I was, like, looking at it, and then I closed it. I was like, I don't want to see you in this light.
So people did comment on the shorts, and then I had to be like, those are my actual shorts that I wear unironically, so maybe that's something that I need to examine about my own
shorts that you wear
dress code.
Where? In public?
Outside in public, yeah.
You're lucky people can't see my face. Oh my God. Oh my.
Maybe we should turn the video
And you're
back on.
married now. So I got to say something to Mrs. Lombardo.
Well, put the video camera on before you say it.
Okay. Mrs. Lombardo. Don't let your man walk out like that because that's a reflection of you. Like when you get married, your partner is a reflection of you. You think Keon's going out looking crazy? No, because that's a reflection of me. And you're out there in these shorts, you're pasty. It's just like, I get it. We're doing it for comedic value, but I
actually ask for approval on some of my outfits before I leave the house and whether she cares how things look. And I generally get a green light.
Okay. Well, then I just know where to put what category to put you in, the missus, who I love dearly. But I'm going to put in the category of people who don't like, okay.
And
they don't care.
A couple years ago now, we actually did do an LCA show promo bit where I was in my actual underwear.
Oh my, in the age of sexual harassment, I don't need to see any of that.
Oh, that was the whole bit, was Zach Williams then comments on it, and we make the big reveal. And I think I was wearing Christmas-themed underwear.
Let's move on to the week's issues at hand because I don't want to.
Before we then get into the relationship stuff, I want to talk about a visitor from Albany's past that came to town this week, and that was former Assemblyman, now Congressman Joe Morelli, who's beating the drum for redistricting. And there's nothing that stops Democrats from passing a constitutional amendment and trying to get it approved by the voters. There's going to be, though, some concern put up by some good government groups. And I'm curious.
Shut up.
That was my question.
Sorry.
To what degree, if any,
shut up,
are people going to listen to them in Albany at this point?
After every election, if you're a Republican right now, just skip over this part. Every election, there's always these Monday morning quarterback. Mm-hmm. And they're like, Republicans, they're so ruthless. They'll do anything to win. Blah, 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 blah. We are in an age of crisis. I don't know. I don't even read the news I don't watch the news anymore because I can't stomach what is going on in our country and in other countries due to us. We have a Supreme Court that struck down the Voting the Voting Rights Act. So that tells me that red states are now going to do whatever they want and not care about certain populations and certain communities because they can do whatever they want because the highest court of the land just said, non-discrimination, who needs that? And there's a question about what we're doing with these lines. And this is what I don't like about Democrats, because when you have the time to be about it and do something and say it with your chest, we're so worried about respectability. We're so worried about who? These good government groups? I don't care. Because you know what? You think the Supreme Court cared? You think the Republicans care? No one cares. So now the Democrats are going to act on this pious mission where, no, we're better than the Republicans. We're going to do what's right. And you know what's going to happen? When even more red states redistrict their lines, we're going to see that they're not being fair and they're not being holier than thou, and they're doing politics. We're going to be like, darn, we should have done that. It's stupid. I'm hearing that we're thinking of doing something where you pause the independent redistricting for this cycle, but then you'll resume back to it in 2030 or 2031 or whatever. It's stupid. Why are we even doing independent redistricting? Because Andrew Cuomo decided to do this in 2012 because he had a split legislature. And yes, you're going to tell me 9 other states do independent redistricting, blah, blah, blah. We are in crisis as a country. And I don't understand why people are no, let's do the right thing. No, redistrict the lines.
I mean, the only downside for Democrats is if they get too cute with something like this and try to do something that has the air of respectability while also trying to accomplish what they want. And it's politically, you can just ignore. Yeah, you just ignore the good government groups and do what is ever most advantageous to yourself because you're not going to pay.
You know what I'm going to say?
There's no penalty for it.
No one cares about good government groups. Yep, I said it out loud. No one cares. Because if people cared about good government groups across the country, people would be doing and acting and being better. I'm discussed it in 2 reasons. Okay, so Minority Leader Jeffries sent Congressman Morelli to talk about redistricting. I hope Minority Leader Jeffries is going to give some money to an education campaign that's associated with doing a proposition and putting something on the ballot. Because in 2021, when we tried to tinker around redistricting, I think it was Prop 1 or something
Prop
like that.
1, 3, and 4 all failed.
Yeah, and it failed. You know why? The Republicans got together and said, oh shit, this shit is crazy. And they made it a campaign. Vote against 1, 2, and 3. It was a catchy campaign, and it was all over the place. And I remember the state party put some dinky amount, maybe 50,000 or 100,000.
Senate Dems had to pick up the slack on it.
We had to pick up, not we, sorry. The Senate Dems had to pick up.
You were there still.
I think they put some money, but it wasn't enough to counter what the Republicans were doing. So you know what? Hakeem Morelli, you want me and the legislature and the governor to take the bullet and pass this? If they don't secure funding for education on this critical issue, then this is stupid and it's a joke to me.
But what do you think actually happens in Albany? Do you think they just lead and be aggressive? Or do you think they get cute with it and try to have something where it's but we're still... No, they're going to do what California did.
They're going to do what California did. California, they put a pause on the independent districting commission because California is another state, is one of the 9 states that has the independent commission. They put a pause and it's going to resume in 2030. That's what New York is going to do. And I'm just going to say it's stupid. How many states? We got 50 states and 9 people. Yeah, Maryland's not doing, there's a bunch of New Jersey's not doing independent redistricting. Maryland's not doing. There's other fellow Democratic states that we look to that aren't doing. So why are we doing it? Because this was created out of necessity for Andrew Cuomo because he had a split legislature. You don't have a split legislature, and you never will have a split legislature.
So then let's not waste any more time talking about it.
Okay, sorry.
No,
you see how passionate I am about this?
You care.
Because I just think when we could do better, we don't. And not better in like the morality, like just do better and win shit and expand our power. Because you know what? Republicans across the country are expanding theirs. All right, I'm done. Let's go to the next topic.
For 50 years, New York's Weatherization Assistance Program has helped keep families safe, lower energy bills, and make homes more efficient. Now, a proposal making its way through the budget process would slash funding by 60% and put children, seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities at risk. Weatherization saves energy, reduces costs, and protects vulnerable New Yorkers. Tell Albany, restore 10% of HEAP funding for weatherization assistance. Protect New York families, protect weatherization services. Paid for by the New York State Weatherization Directors Association.
Well, I want to talk about relationships, broadly speaking, in politics in light of Governor Hochul taking a picture with her sort of frenemy and the New Jersey governor, which also included New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani and New York City Council Speaker Julie Menon. But before we get to that, there was a...
Is she a frenemy with Cheryl?
I mean, they're fighting over World Cup stuff, but they say that that's all overblown in the media about the transportation. But we can get to that in a second. But first, there was a profile in New York Focus of State Senator James Skoufis. Very loving tribute
I guess I
to the
better
guy.
Go read it. Okay.
You don't necessarily need to pick it up or rush to go online for it. But this comes in the wake of...
I don't like New York Focus. They do hit jobs.
I know you don't like them. But he's now also gotten really good coverage in the New York Times in 2024 and in 2025. And I wonder whether that sort of spotlight on a member has repercussions, whether there's any sort of ill will amongst their colleagues when one of them sort of shines who isn't a leader.
A New York Focus profile?
It's a pretty loving tribute.
New York Focus profile?
So then amongst the left then, they might be like... Well, why are you giving this airtime to this centrist as opposed to Julia Salazar or Kristen Gonzalez or other DSA members, for example?
Love Senator Skoufis. Think he is one of the most... I have a great relationship with Senator Skoufis. Now, if you tell me he had a profile in the Times...
Which he's had. He's had in 2024.
Huge. Oh, that's right.
And in 2025 when he ran for DNC, and then when he had the sort of the...
I don't think anybody cares because, how do I say this? Most electeds care about themselves. And he's getting good press for whatever. But every day an elected wakes up and you know who they think about? Me, myself, and I.
And don't they think that should be me in that profile?
The one thing I will say is they're honest when they're doing stuff that requires a profile versus not. And I think a good majority aren't doing things that are profile worthy, they're serving their constituency and stuff like that. But most of them aren't trying to run for different offices and do things like that. They're just living. What did the New York Focus? I didn't read this. What did the New York Focus say about him?
The quote that he keeps circulating is from actually a good government
circulating?
group.
So you got the quote?
He's posting it on social media and stuff, which is basically, his critics describe him as a pain in the ass, but he's getting stuff done. And he's pushing that.
Critics and friends.
Sure.
We call him a pain. But okay, he chooses to highlight himself. Good for him. I don't think anybody's getting jealous over it, but good for him. You highlighted yourself. Look, everyone's got he is a Dem in a very red district. And
that's kind of the crux of the article, too.
It's a really red district. Kudos to him. Do you think Senator Gianaris is damn it?
No, but I think someone like Gianaris is probably a little more comfortable in their own skin, and I do know that other lawmakers are pretty vain or they're looking for attention.
I don't think they care.
Okay.
I don't think they care.
Well, what does move the needle then for some of these lawmakers? Because as I referenced earlier,
constituents.
Well, I mean in terms of their relationships with other lawmakers, where do people go from allies to enemies to frenemies, and does it ever really impact their ability to work together, you think?
Well, what I have learned at my time at the legislature is that 9 times out of 10, if you live in with another elected, the friendship goes caboose. I won't go into who, but I've seen it in multiple.
Well, there's a high-profile example of
I'm not going into it.
With Alessandra Biaggi and Jessica Ramos.
They lived together.
Yes, there's a big New York Times profile about that.
Horribly.
Yeah, but it's like a sitcom. They moved one roommate out, and another one came in, and they kept filming the show.
I just don't think you should ever live with your counterpart.
Do a lot of lawmakers live together? Like renting places in Albany?
So prior to their salary being increased, a lot of people would share apartments together and stuff like that. Depend on what kind of, people had, they do different things when they're in Albany, different lifestyles, whatever. But a lot of people would share apartments. I knew of a bunch of people that shared apartments. I knew of a lot of people who shared apartments. And
what were you going to say?
It did not. Nothing. I wasn't going to say anything. It did not end well for their friendships. So I think when people mess with other members' bills, oh my God, that is the thing that sets them off. If you have a sexy bill and another person wants a version of that sexy bill, or you have a sexy bill and someone's speaking about your bill or telling advocates you're going to dare, you see a lot of chest puffing amongst the elected. So it's like X has this bill, and I mean with advocate groups, and I oppose it, and I'm going to make sure it doesn't pass. That's the type of things that make them not have good relationships. And then some people just have shitty personalities. There are some electeds with shitty personalities, and people just don't like based on the things they say and how they act. And that's what usually, when you first start, you don't know who has a shitty attitude or who has a shitty personality. But if you sit in enough conferences, then you're like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, after Assemblymember Kevin Cahill lost his primary, people weren't necessarily shedding a lot of tears for his departure, given the fact that he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way in the Assembly Democratic Conference. People weren't like, no, Kevin, run again in 2 years. We've got your back.
I'm sure there's a bunch of people that may lose or will lose or something, and people won't cry.
And so
people don't care about other people. This is the friendships you make in Albany, some may be real, majority aren't. They're work associates.
For 50 years, New York State's Weatherization Assistance Program has kept families safe and lowered energy bills. Now Albany plans a 60% cut. Tell Governor Hochul and lawmakers restore 10% of HEAP funding for weatherization. Protect New York families now, paid for by the New York State Weatherization Directors Association.
Well, so are you surprised by something like Mayor Zohran Mamdani having an event with Congressman Richie Torres?
No.
Explain why.
Because I think there was a poll one morning when I woke up, that said that Mayor Mamdani wasn't doing well. Sorry,
Andrew Cuomo.
Don't want to get the people rat-a-tat against me. But that he wasn't polling well again with Jewish voters in New York City. I don't know if it was New York City or in the state, but he wasn't polling well with Jewish voters. They didn't like the way he handled certain situations. On the counter, Richie Torres has a primary. I want to be clear. I think Congressman Torres is very confident in his race, but I think it's always good when you can have someone, especially someone from the left, be seen with you in the Bronx. It kind of puts your thumb in former Assemblyman Blake's eye. And then no one is a prouder supporter of Israel than Richie Torres. So then they both get something out of that joint appearance.
Are those marriages of convenience super common?
Absolutely. Think about your everyday work life. You don't look at people, you would never hang out with them outside of work. But because you're at work, you got to smile and oh, please.
Well, that's why I tell Raga, if she ever leaves Albany, I'm just going to give up my job because she's my favorite person to hang out with at the Capitol.
I don't know if that's true or not. I think Raga's great.
No, it is.
9 times,
I say things actually much worse that I can't say on the air about, ending it all.
Okay, well, that's a little creepy. But anyways. No, but, I think people forget because Albany is like a soap opera, and it's like a soap opera that's been going on forever, that you think you come here and, these people really care about you in your life. I think sometimes staffers think that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes staffers think, oh, these lobbyists really care about me outside these walls. Baby, this is just a world of transactions.
Do you think strippers like you too?
When I was in the minority, people hated me. When I was in the majority, people hated me, but they would come in my office acting like they care about me and like they care about what's going on in my life and blah, blah, blah. They did not care. And then when I left, the people who hated me went back to hating me and acting like they don't know me. So it's like, this is just a world of like convenience. Politics is a world of convenience. And everybody just conveniently acts like friends and they care so much about you. And then it just goes away.
Was Cuomo the best at that sort of transactional relationships?
No, he wasn't. Because like he would smile in your face, but like it'd be like pew pew, I'm pew pewing you, which means like attacking you. And then like I need something from you. Oh hey, come here, friend. We'll figure it out. And then next they'd be like back to pew pew, pew pew, pew. You could never get your footing because there was never like stable. But I think that's it with all the governors. Like I don't think anyone in the Capitol think they have a stable relationship with Governor Hochul, because like if you attack her, she'll be annoyed and upset, and the dynamic of the relationship changes. If you praises her, she'll be happy. Dynamic, but like at the end of the day, like this is.
But I think about like the way Speaker Carl Hastie will talk about the differences that he might have with the governor during the budget process, and he will go out of his way to say, "I'm not mad at her. I'm not
because you
angry."
You all sensationalize it to make it a telenovela, and like like.
But you were making the point that people don't care about that stuff. So why does it matter how it's framed?
Wait. I don't, because he's negotiating a budget. Mm-hmm. And if you have people, like during these budget negotiations, everyone's sensitive. So if you say one thing and then the press sensationalizes it, it makes the budget negotiations difficult because then people get upset. They do get upset. I don't like. Why are you confused about that?
No, because I thought you were kind of making the argument that people are all dispassionate. They are looking at the problems ahead of themselves, and it makes sense that people would have human emotions that could interfere with that.
Okay. So it's like, no, they just like, they only care about the things that impact them. The example between the speaker and the governor, I don't think he cares about the day-to-day or what's going on with other people. I don't think he cares about that. But when the press interprets like, oh, he's angry, then you have another person that's mad at you based off what you said in public. You have to remember, there's all these different people. So me and you are talking, I say something bad. I didn't mean it bad. But then like it gets picked up by the press as bad. And then you have like consultants and advisors and staffers all meddling in, your relationships, which then sometimes add fuel to the fire. Blah, 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 blah.
Does everybody talk?
Everybody talks. Staff talk, members talk, commissioners talk. Everybody talks.
When you think about your time either in government or now outside of government, are there times where you've had to overcome personal relationships, where you've had to work around things or address things head on because maybe there weren't the best relationships?
Yeah. I want to be very clear. I hated Melissa DeRosa's guts when I first met her, and I hated her guts for a good 3 to 4 months. Hated her, and you had to deal with her. And then that's when I got to know her. Whatever people feel about her, she is my friend, and there have been times in my life where she has very much surprised me and has been like, what do you need from me? What do you need me to do? I support you. There are other times where I've dealt with people who didn't like me and I didn't like them. And if I didn't have to deal with them, I didn't. There are particular staffers. One in particular where I was like, hey, I'm not speaking to you. Speak to my other staffer. And my other staffer and that person would speak. So it just depends. Some people you have to push through. When you're in certain positions, even if you don't like people, you do have to push through and try to talk to them. But then because you're in certain positions, there's certain people you just don't have to talk to. I probably wouldn't have a job if I hated members and I couldn't communicate to them at that time. At times they may piss me off, but you have to push through and talk to them, no matter how you were treated or what happened.
In this role now, I find that I try to maintain good relationships with everybody because I need them to actually come into this space, agree to sit down with me for 10, 15 minutes, as opposed to when I was at the Times Union, I can just show up to a press conference, ask my question, and I'm there. I've got the access that I need. Whereas now I need to maybe either cultivate relationships or try not to get so bothered by things that drive me absolutely insane. But then we also just don't let people on the show who I really don't get along with.
I mean, I think as a consultant, I think there are things that happen that really bother me, and you either have to like just look past it and figure out a way to move past it, or you're like I see it differently as a consultant. Like when I was in government, I didn't have to deal with people. I was like, whatever, except the people I had to deal with. But like as a consultant, you have to deal with everybody. Like you need a bill passed, you got to talk to everybody, even if you don't like them. I think that is a very, like when you're signing up for certain jobs, it's like you are signing up to deal with all types of personalities and all types of shit that you don't necessarily would like to deal with.
Anything else we should talk about?
I want to talk about budget, but like, I was right. Here we are. I say May 18th, they'll start voting. People think they're going to start voting next week. Just think it's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's hard because I don't like, it's Wednesday, May 6th. I don't know, but I'm assuming that they're being held up by the big things, and the small things, they're looking at it, but they're not really digging deep and like working on the language on that type of stuff.
Yeah, one of our Dispatches super fans reminded me this week that once they even have agreement, we're talking a while to actually print the bills.
Oh, I know the super fan you spoke to.
And that the process itself...
I had lunch with that super fan.
Yes, is a chore and involves printing a bill, then reviewing the bill, finding mistakes.
People don't understand. To put together a budget bill is anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours, like a whole budget bill. It's like, it takes, I remember it used to drive me crazy. It would take like 2 hours to print at bill drafting. And not because bill drafting is slow, but that's just the process. Then you get it. Then you have to look at, oh shit, there's a comma missing. Oh no, that's the wrong number. Oh no, this. And you have to like go back and forth. So you have like, depending on how many budget bills you have to do, it's going to take at least 36 to 48 hours. And that's to complete all the budget bills. And that's if they're only like going all through the night and not sleeping. And what I've never had the privilege of, but I hear under this new era, they go home at respectable times. They don't have to when I was here, like when I would go into work at 9:30. I would leave 4:30 in the morning, drive home.
Why leave?
Some people didn't leave.
Yeah.
Some people would stay there. They'd be stinky, but they would stay in the Capitol. I had to go home because like, I couldn't, and I would sleep. Like when we were in the minority, you'd have these long session days and like you'd leave, you'd go to like 1 and then you'd have to be back at like 10 the next day. I used to sleep with the phone in the minority on my chest, waiting for an active list. I tell you, I could write a book on all the crazy shit I did. I remember during our first budget, someone stayed here 3 days in a row. Like finally I had to be like, girl, go home, take a shower. I beg. People are talking about you. So under this new era, they don't do that. Like during COVID, I remember my father got COVID and he was really, really sick and I was exposed to him. I negotiated a budget from home. And I remember it was 5 a.m, just being on the Zoom, not the Zoom. I was on the phone, like doing these calls. It was insane.
And people, I think, are probably also like falling asleep if it's a Zoom and just like waking up and being like, yep, I agree to that. Sure, whatever.
Can I tell you, one year we were on a Zoom and there was a staffer and like, Zoom, we had like the background stuff, like and then I remember I was like, is that person in a bed? Like someone was in their bed, but when they would move, you could see the headboard. People were like, wow. I remember there was a secretary. I won't say a secretary of what. It wasn't a secretary, like main secretary, but it was a secretary of something under the Cuomo administration. Fell asleep, like was snoring on a Zoom, and we had to like wake them up on Zoom. Like budget was crazy. But now I think under, Governor Hochul, they have, they care about staff. I hear, I don't know. I don't think the staff they don't pull all-nighters like we did. And though it's longer, I don't think it's as dreadful I had anxiety like the week before we did the one house resolutions, because when you presented to conference, you know you're going to get beat up about not putting things in and people not knowing things were put in and all this other bullshit. I had anxiety from that until the budget was in. Like every day, 4 Red Bulls a day,
Poof.
not sleeping. Oh my God. Me and Chris Higgins were just talking about this other night where it'd be like 1 a.m. He'd go downstairs with a Red Bull, guzz it, and then be like, all right, what were we talking about? The budget is insanely unhealthy for staffers. And I know everyone talks about it every year, but there has to be a better way to do budget.
That's how I feel about the LCA show rehearsals right now. I'm here all night. I'm having Red Bull in the morning. And
wearing shorts that are just making you look pasty.
Only for promo videos. Still wearing khakis. And if anybody is listening, though, I need some denim jeans for the show, and I don't own any. So that's a real problem.
It's called Crossgate Small.
Oh, we're on a shoestring
budget. Aren't you married? Have your wife go. Let me stop. I don't. Is your wife a trad wife or not?
Is my wife, who makes more money than me, a trad wife? No, she's not. Isn't a trad wife typically the person who's like making butter at home? And
I think it's how you interpret trad. People are always shocked how things are run in my household. I'm not making butter, but I believe in traditional ways. Like, people are going to freak out when I say this. I'm going to say this. Like, when I tell people, I'm like, yeah, my husband's my head of my household. People freak out. What does that mean? Oh my God. Oh. I respect my husband, and before I do certain things, I speak to him about it, and we have conversations.
Well, we speak about things, but it's like a
no,
team.
like I'm like before I was away in Vegas this weekend. I dropped a shit ton of money. I absolutely called my husband and was like, hey, you know, I'm Big Mama. I am Big Mama in terms of my bank account. But I was like, hey, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And he was like, okay.
We have the exact same thing in our relationship. I'll be at the grocery store and I will call my wife because I'm having a panic attack about spending like an extra $1 on some sort of product, and I need to get validation for that purchase.
I don't need validation. I'm just making my husband aware of what I'm doing. There's a difference.
Well, we've been speaking with Shontell Plummer. She is a partner at Tusk Strategies, so she's able to afford those trips to Las Vegas.
And a trad, what was it? A trad wife.
And yes, she's definitely a trad wife. When you close your eyes and think about trad wife, Shontell Plummer comes up. Thank you.
You think it's a joke?
I appreciate it, Shontell. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Adios.
No. It's called a general agreement. It was not we just signed off on the budget, and here's the pen I used to sign it.